It is a huge honor for me today to be interviewing Per Ahlberg all the way from Sweden, where Dr. Brånemark was born and raised, right? You guys grew up in the same city.
Yes.
Wow, I'm sorry that he passed away. But he lived a good long life. How old was he when he passed away?
85.
85 years old.
He passed away a year ago.
Yeah, you know, when I started podcasting, I tried to podcast him, and at the time he was actually I talked to his wife. They were in Brazil. I guess he had a facility training institute in Brazil too. Did you ever go there and visit him? No,
but I know some dentists that have been there and working.
Yeah, man, what a great life. What would you like to tell our viewers? You're talking about 7,000 dentists in about 206 countries. What would you like to tell the viewers about his long life?
I think he has done a lot for the whole world. It's such a good thing to get fixed teeth, and it improves life quality for so many people.
And historians will say he invented dental implants. And I mean, isn't that pretty correct?
Yeah, he invented it, or he found out the osseointegration. He was actually putting a small camera into a vein, and that camera was made in titanium, and he wanted to reuse it, and he couldn't get it out. So that's osseointegrated. And then he started to do research. Why didn't it come out like other material? And that's how it started. I think that was in the end of the 1950 something, 57 maybe.
Yeah, he definitely.
And then.
Yeah, he definitely created the entire space. What an amazing life! And I'd like to also say that I was born in Kansas, which is in the very middle of the United States. And, you know, grew up Catholic. My mom and dad went to mass every day. Everybody was Catholic, Kansas, Republican. And, you know, the most evil thing in the world when I grew up was communism, you know, Russia and China. Those were the, you know, good versus bad. And right in the middle between good and bad were the socialists, the ones that were headed towards communism. And that was always your neck of the woods. It was always Scandinavia. It was Sweden and Denmark and Norway and Finland. So then when I started lecturing around the world, and I always tell everybody when I come back to the United States, I say that the greatest societies I've ever seen in my life were Scandinavia and Australia and Canada. It just doesn't get any better than that. I mean, when you go to Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Finland, and Australia, I mean, that's just the greatest advance. To me, it's the most pleasurable, honorable, sophisticated society known to man. And when people complain in the United States about healthcare, and whenever, you know, they try to move to a single payer system, whatever, and they say socialism, I just tell them everybody that's against it has never been there and seen their society. They also complain about taxes. They always say, oh, their tax rate's so high. Yeah, but their jobs are $40 an hour. Would you rather be an American, make $10 an hour, and have no health insurance or education, and pay small taxes, or make $40 an hour, pay half of it to the government, get free college? I mean, they just don't get it. So what? So do you? Does your news cover much of American healthcare or Obamacare, much that? Or are you up any on that debate?
I follow the American politics and the new election coming up now. And I've done so. I think I know more about politics than many Americans.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it.
Many are so interested in what the president's family is doing, but what kind of politics does he? What does it stand for? What does he want to do? And what does he want to achieve? And that's second.
I tell people around the world that aren't Americans that to understand American politics, you have to realize that it's just sports. That's all it is. It's no different than soccer or football. You love your team and you hate the like like for instance, my favorite hobby is football, NFL, and of course I'm in
Yeah.
Arizona, so I like the Arizona Cardinals, and I want
Yeah.
them to beat every team. And I have no. Last night our team won in like the last second of the game, and I was jumping up and down, and it was just thrill. That's the way Paul.
In what sport?
Well, we call it football. You would
Okay. So,
um, but soccer is the
but
number one sport in the world, and you guys call soccer football, right?
yeah, but you also won against Toronto in hockey yesterday.
Yes, 3-2. I
Yes.
was at the bar, and both big screens were on side by side, and it was amazing technology. Whenever a commentator was talking, that television would go live, and then
Yeah.
whenever it was just the sport and the other commentator, and I was sitting there the whole night wondering how do they do that? There must be some new technology because two big screens, and you could just follow the commentators all through. Yeah,
Okay.
I can't believe you watched NFL and hockey last night, and you're on the other side of the world. But basically, yeah, I truly believe that the average American, like probably 85%, don't understand the issue at all. They just
What
they
issue?
just
What issue you mean?
well,
What issue?
you like healthcare or
Yeah.
taxation or
Right.
energy policy
Right.
or all that stuff. And
Right.
I try to. I think one of the reasons Dental Town has been successful and my podcast and social media is I always avoid sex, religion, politics, violence, and just stick to dentistry. But
Yeah.
the only reason I brought it up to you is because and I didn't want to start here or go there and everything, but your country is very unique from ours in the fact that your government picks up about a third of the dental bill,
Yes.
and about half the dental offices are government owned and operated.
Yes.
And
Right.
so that's why I wanted to touch on this very scary subject of sex, religion, and politics and violence, and talk about that because everybody that says that socialism is horrible, they've never even left Kansas. I mean, they haven't even gone to Mexico. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like you only know what you know, and if you're born in a tribe and your tribe all tells you, this is good and this is bad and this is good, they just believe it. And as I
Yeah.
get older and older and older, I learn so much more, and it makes me so much more humble because you realize what you didn't know when you were a kid. And so now I realize at 50 years old, like in science, like I bet a
Yes.
thousand years from now, everything we believe in science is going to look literally ridiculous. Like we look back 1,000 years ago and we think those people were barbaric. And I think 1,000 years from now, I bet 1,000 years from now, dental implants. I mean, there might not even be dental implants. They might just be
No.
growing back the tooth. But let's start there. Do you think how many countries have you been in?
Oh, I don't know. Most European countries, at least in the West, and United States, Canada, Mexico,
So
and then last year we took Asia around
so
the world.
so going around the world, and you're a very intelligent man in the field of dentistry. What do you think are the pros and cons of your government healthcare system subsidizing dentistry? And do you
That
think it's a
the,
good model? I mean, do you think the United States should follow that model?
maybe not exactly, but because there is challenges, of course. But it's good that people who most need dentist care can get it, no matter if they have enough money or not. So that's the good side. We take care of the poor people. We take care of regular people. We take care of older people. There is a safety net in Scandinavia and in dentistry, especially Sweden. We invest a lot in dentistry in Sweden so people who really needs help get it. And it's not the ones who gets most are those who need it most, with the most advanced, most expensive dental care. And the one that needs it least, they don't get that much substitute. And normal people have to pay a little bit. So normal people have to pay 2/3 of their dental care, but they go on checkups and they don't do that much. Most people have pretty good teeth.
So is it basically okay? So the United States, the year I was born in '62 is when they passed the first Medicare, which
Yeah,
people over 65, the old over 65, could get health care, and then
yeah,
states, then later states passed their version for the poor, which was called Medicaid.
yeah,
And but your country covers what, all of dentistry from the young birth to 20, and then the
yeah,
old 65 and over. Is that pretty much correct?
yeah.
And then a
You
poor,
get,
and then the poor people in the middle.
yeah, everyone younger than 19 or up to 24, depends a little bit on what region you live, gets free dental care, totally free.
And is that
And
when you say gets free dental care, is that just like extractions and fillings and cleanings, or does it also include root canals, crowns, implants, orthodontics?
yeah, but there's not that many who gets that in. This just when they play hockey, they might need an implant or two.
Yes, that is a moral dilemma if you're a dentist
Uh,
and you like hockey.
yeah.
How can a good dentist like hockey if it leads to so much too? That's one of my favorite jokes. What has 12 teeth and 10 legs? The starters of a hockey match.
Yes, yes. Good. Yeah. Um, no, so after 25, you get a little bit substitute from the government for doing checkups, not much. But if you really have to do something, you get more. If it's more costly, you get more paid from the government. And since 2008, your age doesn't care that much. You get a little bit more as a youngster and a little bit more as a older people, senior people, person. But everyone gets a little bit, and everyone have that safety net today that they can. And for a couple of years ago, we had 65 plus for dentistry. So that's when we got rid of most edentulous patients. Now we only have 0.3% that doesn't have any teeth, fixed teeth. It's fantastic.
Yeah, the United States at 65, 10% of Americans have zero teeth.
Yeah.
10%.
You have to do something about it.
Well, tell me this. Well, back to the specifics. If I'm 15 years old and need braces, would the government pay for braces?
I pay for that. They don't pay for cosmetic, but they do pay for a lot of orthodontics.
I do
So
my I do my own cosmetics. Whenever someone comes to the room, I just turn the lights off, and it really
yeah.
enhances my appearance. So what about the dentist? You say about half of them work for inside a government dental office
Yeah,
building as an employee
for the state.
For the state. So
Yeah.
You call Sweden the state. You call Sweden
No, there is states like in the States.
okay.
So it differs a little bit from region to region.
How many people live in Sweden and how many dentists are there?
There is about 10 million people and about 7,200 dentists, 4,000 hygienists, and about 10,000 nurses, and
So,
about 1,200 technicians.
man, I think you're the I know you're a numbers guy to be able to answer that question. So 10 million divided by 7,000. So that's a dentist for every 1,428 people. The United States has
Yes.
a dentist. So you're 1 to 1428. I think the last I saw in America is 1 to 1850. So do these dentists, do they make a good income? Would they make a comparable income as a dentist in the United States, or what's when
I
you
don't know what you earn in the States, but I think
that
some dentists gets pretty good salary and others might not. And I hear from you on your other podcasts that you have to pay back a lot of your studies, cost for studies, and
student loans,
yeah.
student loan. Now is dental now
Here they have study loans, but not for going to the university because that's free.
So then what wasn't free? The dental school?
No, the dental school is free, but not everyone can go there. They don't get in there, and
Oh, I see.
they have to pay for their own rent and food during the time they go there. So they end up with a little bit of loan anyway.
So all their university and dental school was free, so they have no student loans.
Yes,
But they let
more or less. It depends on, you know. If you study and that takes all your time and you can't work at the same time, I don't think most can work at the same time as a study
yeah,
to dentist.
I don't buy that argument. Not to be rude, but I it seemed to me when I was in dental school, all the kids, a third of the class, their dad was a dentist and was just paying for everything, and
Yeah,
those kids were all too busy to have a job,
yeah,
and all they did was have fun and party and have nice vacations. Then the poor barn trash like me, who went to
yeah,
school and studied and worked 40 hours a week, all the poor kids worked 40 hours a week through dental school. I know tons of
yeah,
poor kids who worked 40 hours a week all through their college degree. I think not being able to work in dental school is a rich kid phenomena. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
When you go to China, they work sun up to sundown 6 days a week, and
yeah,
then they'll tell you their day off Sunday is their hardest day because that's when they got to get their whole house in order, laundry, cleaning, shopping,
yeah.
everything. And they like to come back to work on Monday after for a rest day from working so hard Sunday. But would you say that dentists make a good income in Sweden?
Yeah, I would say so.
So half work for a state-run clinic, so they're an employee,
Yeah,
and that
they can probably make even more if they're private and run their own business.
so
But
so so would you say
everyone
half
get,
are
I
private?
mean, they get almost as a doctor, and most of the doctors are works for the state. The regular bed doctors,
You call them bed
they
doctors?
med
Oh, med
medical
doctors. Okay. So
medical.
so medical doctors all work for the state of Sweden,
Most of them.
and then
There is private. I don't know the ratio, but there is private clinics too.
the
But
dentists half work for the government of
yes,
Sweden and half are
yes,
private.
yes.
And if you worked for the state, then you would have less stress because you wouldn't have to run a business, correct? I
You
mean,
have. I think you have more stress because you have 5 days full. The schedule is from 8 to 5 or something like that. They hardly get any time off for continuous education. That's pretty bad. Uh, the private ones, many of them, they work like 4 days a week with dentistry, and the fifth day they work with their staff and their company,
yeah. You know,
and maybe talk to salespeople, and maybe they even play golf. I don't know.
today is Tuesday here in the States, and yesterday I worked all day at the dental office. And at 53, I mean, I came home. The first thing I had to do is lay down, and the next thing I knew, I had taken a 2 hour nap. I mean, it's just exhausting.
Yeah,
Checking three
yeah.
hygiene and running and emergencies, and
No, I think the people who works for the state, they're pretty busy, and
yeah.
they have a tight schedule.
I also want
Uh,
to ask you a question. Your part of the world is it seems to me, maybe I could be completely wrong, but it seems like your part of the world is very anti-mercury amalgam. That
yeah,
mercury is not,
it's forbidden.
it's against the law in Sweden to
It's
use it.
against the law since 2009. There is some you can get some exceptions if you really have a good reason, but normally it's forbidden.
But you know what's silly about that? Because okay, so Sweden's banned it since 2009. Does Sweden, when you die, do they offer traditional burial versus cremation?
Yeah,
And cremating humans with silver fillings in their teeth is
yeah,
responsible for 6% of the atmospheric mercury contamination around the planet. And a lot of these countries, like Sweden, who have banned it, continue to do cremation. And a lot of countries who, like the United States, who have not banned
but
it, should
don't
at
they?
least.
They must take care of that, don't they? They take out the amalgam,
They
and
do in Sweden.
they clean the fume that comes when they burn.
Oh,
I'm sure.
I'm not. Well, I don't know. Are you just assuming this, or do you know this?
I assume this.
Yeah, I assumed it too, and it's not the case. I mean, you go to a crematory, and it's just a mortician which
And
I
they don't
believe
have any
is,
cleaning?
yeah, I believe it's a 1 year of education program. In fact, I looked into it in Arizona. I think you can get mortuary cremation licenses in as little as 9 months, and they
Let's check
just
it out.
yeah, they just
That's
put the
bad.
whole body into a deal, and they shut the door, and they turn a deal like a submarine missile
Yeah,
chamber, and turn her on, and it vents out the roof. And
yeah,
I would think that while the whole world is discussing amalgam, the whole world could at least pass a law and say a dentist has to come examine the mouth before it's
yeah,
cremated and extract the amalgam. I mean, you
yes,
wouldn't have to dig out the roots.
yes. But
Obviously,
you have cleaning on your units, don't you? When you
you
work, you have a cleaning. You have separation for
right,
amalgam.
right. When we're
Yes,
drilling out amalgam, yeah, we
yes,
have to do that. The dentist complained a lot about it in the 70s and 80s, but I went down to the water department and they said, "Look, it's a lot easier for you to take out the amalgam when it's all chunky and right there. What's
yeah,
really expensive is when you dump that into hundreds of millions of gallons of water, then we have to filter it out." And I
right.
believe in user fees. I mean, if we're creating the mercury going down the drain,
Yeah,
if we're creating it, we should clean it up. So I think it makes sense all the way around that the dental
yeah,
office should have a mercury cleaner. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you take grandpa dies and he's 70 years old and he's got 15 big amalgams in
yeah.
his teeth, and you stick him in a container and turn it on to 350 for the afternoon, and all that, and that mercury's venting out there, and plus I
Yeah.
would think it would be a hazard for the worker, the mortician. But I think one of the first things they should do is start passing laws that says a dentist needs to come by
Yeah.
grandpa before you cremate him and look in his mouth, and like say you don't have to dig out the roots, or you could just reach in there with forceps and just snap off the crown, the dry brittle
I
dead.
checked that up. That's interesting, but I don't believe that it's not cleaned, that it's not filtered. I wouldn't think so, but I check it out.
Yeah, well, I have checked it out, and
It should be.
my information is that that's what they do. But anyway, I'll meet you at the United Nations, and we'll call it the Per Ahlberg Amendment, the Per Ahlberg Dental Amendment, and maybe you can get a grant from Nobel Biocare. Now, you started out working for Nobel Biocare, didn't you?
Yeah, 2005.
And what did you do with Nobel Biocare?
I was a sales manager in Sweden. I was sitting on the headquarter of Nobel Biocare at the time,
You're
but
sitting on the what?
I was sitting on the headquarter, but I was in the same building as the headquarter. But I was working Nordic and in particular Sweden. So I
Okay,
had all the international people next door.
okay. Walk all of us Americans through the name of Nobel Biocare, because I thought it started out with Dr. Brandmark, and then it was the Brandmark implant, and then of
Yeah,
course you always Sweden. Where's the Nobel Prize out of?
Sweden. All of them except for the Peace Prize, which is in Norway.
Okay, so I assume that's where they got the word Nobel from, the Nobel Peace Prize. It was Sweden, so it went from
Yeah.
Brandmark to Nobel Biocare. How did it go from Brandmark, the founder's name, to Nobel Biocare?
Well, Per Brånemark needed some money, and he asked the guy who had bought the Nobel Industries, that had more industries than just this industry, or they might not have even this industry in the beginning. But Per Brånemark needed money, and he got it from this Penser, Eric Penser. He still lives in London. And he gave him some money to start up, and so it ended up with making, instead of making cannons or Nobel things from Karlskoga in Sweden, they started to make implants instead. Small industry instead of big industry, or small pieces instead of big pieces. Um, I don't know if you know what a haubits is. It's a pretty bad thing. It's a cannon, and that's
Oh,
what they did. That's what they did in the past. But
oh,
they
what do you call
split
it?
up
How do you call that? A Holowitz, or spell it?
hobbits.
And it's
I
a
don't know how to
cannon.
say.
It's a
Yeah,
cannon
it's a cannon.
for
Let's
for
say
for,
it's
for the Navy or the Army.
army.
Army cannon.
Yeah, mostly army. Uh, And that probably comes from the dynamite, because that was really the Alfred Nobel invention. And then they started up a company called Nobel Pharma, but it wasn't really pharma, so they changed name to Biocare. And then it got on its own, and it was introduced to the stock exchange in Stockholm, later on in Zurich, and now it's sold to United States.
Wow. And then you started in 2008. I mean, I don't want to say this arrogantly, but you started dental24.se, which is kind of like a dental town, isn't it?
Yes. It's similar.
It's similar. Yeah. We started Dental Town in 98. So I hope you borrowed some ideas. Do I get any credit for any ideas you borrowed from Dental Town?
I checked with you and see what you had. I didn't take everything. But it confirmed that my thought was right. This was something we needed. We needed a community for the Swedish dentist business, not only for dentists, but for hygienists and technicians and nurses and the industry, the suppliers. So I bundled that into a whole, and we work with the team because you have to work together. You know how important it is to work together with the technicians and the nurses and the hygienists.
Dentists were so crazy in the early days of Dental Town. They get mad when any non-dentist would come on. They go, "That guy's coming in and he's just trying to sell something." And I said, "It's named Dental Town, not Dentist Town." I mean, so he's trying to sell something, and you're what, a volunteer? What do you do? Free crowns in your office? Oh, I'm pretty sure you do $500,000 a year and take home 150,000, and you're pure and innocent and good. But anybody selling dental supplies or a dental lab or dental technology is evil because you were born in Kansas and you're a Republican. So I still have not got this through on Orthotown. The orthodontists still say no. Only orthodontists come on there, and I always run into people who only sell to orthodontists, and they so desperately want to know what they're saying and thinking so they can serve them better, and they want to be members, and the orthodontists say, no, only us. So I'm glad you saw the vision of that. It takes more than dentists to do dentistry, and if you took away about 560 dental companies, we wouldn't be great dentists. We'd be sitting on a rug on a sidewalk with a hammer.
We need each other. It's a teamwork.
Right.
Very much so. And but we have a little bit of that in Sweden also, the dentists and then their association. You have to be a dentist to be into them, and they can't spell to Dental 24. I don't exist.
Yeah.
But we are largest. But according to what we see from them and hear from them, we don't exist. Yeah.
And I mean, even here in the American Dental Association, I mean, for years, when you go to a convention, you couldn't buy anything from a vendor there. There was no transactions on the floor, and you could just see these Christians thinking of Jesus and kicking over the money changers in the temple, 2,000 years ago. And it's like, what a joke. I mean, the American Dental Association is all about money. They collect $100 million in dues. You have to pay to go to the meeting. The vendors paid thousands of dollars. I mean, there's just cash flying everywhere, but you couldn't make a transaction. It's just like people are just silly. People can just be so silly. The older I get, the more I wish everybody could be just like me.
You have your own party.
and then when I say that, my boys start laughing. They think I'm the craziest monkey in the village.
But maybe you're running for president one day.
I can't because I just think they I've lived half a century. I've lived 53 years, and they just all lie, cheat, and steal. In fact, it's funny when someone wants you to vote for their team instead of the other team. It's like, look, they're all liars. They're all cheaters. They're all sociopaths. I mean, how could you like your lying sociopath more than the other lying sociopath? I mean, it was funny. We had an election the last time. You could take one of the candidates. His name was Romney, and you could go to YouTube and you could take like Romney is for this, and you'd find a YouTube video where he's for it. Then you could Google the exact same YouTube to say like Romney is against this, and find another speech where he's absolutely against it. I mean, it was just comical. It was literally comical.
It's
But
true.
again, I don't like to talk religion, sex, politics, or violence unless I'm on the comedy stage. I love to do stand up comedy, and I'm doing a gig
Okay.
in town next week, and that's when I
Yeah.
let it all hang out. That's when
Yeah.
I have no filters and go
Yeah.
crazy. But so what do you? So tell us more about Den 24. How and you know what I wish you would do? Since you're in Sweden and you have this, is it mostly just for Sweden? I mean, is the language all in
Yeah.
Swedish?
You know, I don't like any competition from you, so I do it in Swedish.
Yeah.
No, no. And in order to make it very accessible, we write everything in Swedish. So then you can go deeper, and everyone speaks English here. So
But on the website, are they talking in English or talking in Swedish?
Swedish.
Yeah.
Everything is in Swedish. More or less everything is in Swedish.
Well, here's what I understand about language, and I've talked to a lot of language specialists because all these people say, well, these people speak English or read English. This is what they tell me. They tell me if you're born in a country and you're born and you learn a language and you have more than 50 million people to talk to, then you don't have any incentive to learn another language. So America
No.
is 300 million, so they all speak English. And then you go to Brazil,
Yeah.
and they got 200 million, so they all speak Portuguese.
Yes.
But if you're born in a country like of 10 million, you might know up to 5 languages because you want to talk to more people. But they say that humans basically want a pool of about 50 million people to have the scales of economy of people.
But if you should learn any language these days, you should learn Chinese, but that's hard.
Yeah.
But we learn English as a second language,
Yeah.
and we understand Norwegian and Finnish, not Finnish, but Danish.
But here's what the dentists tell me around the world. They say their native language Germany, and I'll say, well, German. I'll say, well, can you read English?
Yeah.
They say, yeah. And I say, well, you go to Dental Town? They say, well, here's the deal. My native language is German. And if I have to just pick up fun reading like fiction, I'll read German. But when I have to read English, after about an hour, my mind is just exhausted. So it seems to me that reading as a second language is never fun. It's never natural. I don't know. I don't speak another language.
Right. No, that's right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. And Google Chrome will translate anything into 64 different languages, but it's kind of like going from shaking the hand of a person to shaking the hand of a mannequin. I mean, it's translated, but it's just not right. There's something, when you look at a mannequin, you say, okay, it should look like a human, but it's just not quite really a human,
Right.
Yeah. So,
but it's pretty good though.
But you know what I wish we would do? I wish, since none of us know Swedish and you know English, I wish you and your 4 or 5 smartest people would compare dental24.se to dentaltown.com and see if we came up with the same innovations or if any of us could learn from the other. That's something that you did that worked that I should do with Dental Town or you might find something we did with Dental Town and whatever.
Yeah, we should.
But if there's anything we can ever network together, a lot of dentists ask, a lot of people ask me, they say, well, why did you have this guest on? Because he's with another dental magazine. Or why would you talk to Per when he's with a competitor, Dental 24? And I just think that's so silly. I never think in fear and scarcity. I always think in hope, growth, abundance. But I noticed this, the 28 years I've been here, the dentists in my little city, Ahwatukee, the ones that would go out to eat and hang out regularly with the other dentists in Ahwatukee, we had the most fun and rewarding careers. And the ones across the street that saw us as competitors and they were competing against us and they were never to be found, it just seems like they were never happy. In fact, one of them retired and no one even knew it for like a year. I mean, I've never met a dentist who only reads one dental magazine. I'm not in competition with another dental magazine or another dental website. I mean, Dental Town, in fact, if you had to say who Dental Town's in competition with, it's not even another dental website. It'd probably just be Facebook and Twitter like the rest of the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anything we can do, like if you saw something we had and your programmers wanted our code or whatever the hell, I mean, I don't think in fear and scarcity. I just literally have fun. That's all I try to do every day is get up and play. I'm
open to that, and I think you have a lot to things to contribute with, and I think you are ahead in many areas in many areas. Sales and marketing, for sure, you are much better. On IT, you are more mature in IT. You use the web better than we do here.
On
That
Dental
have
Town?
been, Americans and Dental Town too.
Oh, you're talking about Americans.
So when I started up, I got a recommendation. Check it out what they're doing in the States, and that's how I found you. But then I had already decided to go for Dental 24. And then I just checked on you. I checked a little bit on XP. Is that what it's called? The
Yeah,
Dental
Dental
XP.
XP out of Atlanta,
I
Georgia.
checked a little bit on Dental Advice, and I checked on Dental Compare. I visited Dental Compare once in California to share knowledge about how can you share knowledge, information. It's important, and I think you are doing it well. You have Facebook, you have Twitter, you have all those social media. It comes from the States.
Did you yeah, Silicon Valley, Facebook, Google Plus, Twitter, all in one little city. It's right between San Francisco and San Jose is Google and Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest, and they're all there. Did you ever meet the woman dentist who started Eugenol in France, a French website, French dental website?
No?
Yeah, I was so impressed by her. That sweetheart of a woman flew all the way from Paris, France to Phoenix, Arizona, just to network and shake my hand, and I thought, you know what? If you're that damn ambitious to do that, I already can assure you're going to conquer all your dreams, and she did. She was an amazing person. I was so proud of her. So what does my job is to guesstimate what everybody's wondering, and probably what they're wondering is, anybody who's been to Scandinavia or Australia, for that matter, agrees that that's about as advanced of a. I look when you fly over countries at 30,000 feet and you look down at cities. I mean, it kind of looks like an anthill. It looks like a mouse. It looks like a way ants and termites and bees would colonize. It looks like little human colonies. And of all the human colonies I've seen, of little bumbling bee humans, I think Scandinavia is the best. I wish it had better weather. I wish they could pick it up and move it down and set it in an island in the middle of the Mediterranean. But how is dental technology used in your Scandinavian region versus other parts of the world or of Europe or the United States?
What do you mean? What?
Well, I mean, are you doing rubber impressions with polyvinyl siloxane? Or are you oral scanning?
It's getting more and more.
Lasers.
Yeah, we're doing it. I mean, I sold Procera for 10 years before the others came on board on CAD CAM. You know the Procera?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nobel Biocare had that 10 years before everyone else.
And how's that doing now?
It's pretty good, I guess. The business have changed, of course. The others have catched up in many areas, but what I understand, they are doing okay. But we were early, and I was working close to. They were in the building where it was developed in the building where I worked. So CAD CAM we went early on CAD CAM. Now CAD CAM goes into the dentist office, and there it's a little bit tougher because the dentist is not that advanced in IT, many of them. So it is getting so technical for some of them that they wait for their retirement and they don't invest in the new technology. That's obvious that that will come. And so there is a big change. There is also a big change. I know you have the same change over in the States, that clinics are getting bigger. They are maybe 10 dentists, 30 dentists at the same building, in the same office. So share the big investments that you with CBCT and CAD/CAM and oral scanning and so on.
Well,
but it's coming. It's coming.
A lot of people, I always take opinions from people who live inside their world with a grain of salt because they always have the human emotional bias. But when I look into government ran business, I mean, healthcare business models, I like to go to healthcare MBAs and economists and who aren't have no emotional baggage into the debate. They think that what drove the consolidation of of pharmacists was
Yeah.
that for pharmacists, 70% of their cost was buying the prescription pills. And so
Yeah.
from economics, it made massive sense for them to all roll up into one big unit to be
Yeah.
able to compete and leverage Merck and Pfizer and Johnson and Johnson.
Right.
You needed a big 400-pound bullet. Whereas in dentistry, it's only 6% of cost. But leaving pharmacists and going to physicians, what drove the big consolidation was a lot of this high-tech, expensive equipment like CAT scans and MRIs and all these
Right.
massive pieces of equipment. And physicians realize if we're going to buy that piece of machine, we should share it with a bunch of other providers. And like when I went to my urologist because I had a kidney stone for the third time in my life, there's like 12 of them, 12 urologists in one building, and they're all when you go in and take the X-ray or whatever, all share. And what's funny is the dentists who in America, almost, I don't even think 1% of the dentists work for the government in the Indian Public Health Service or the National Health.
Some are working for the military, right?
Yeah, the military. I guess if you included the military, the Indian Public Health Service, and the social clinics, maybe 4%, 5%. It's
Okay.
really a rounding error. It's one of the specialties, dental public health, but it's really a rounding error. But what's really consolidating fast is these corporations that have 500 to 2,000 dental offices, and I do think the big driver of this is twofold. And I'm going to get in trouble for this saying this because you should never talk about sex, religion, politics, violence. But I believe that half the graduates being women, the women all married male dentists, doctors, bankers, lawyers, and a lot of them just want a job. They don't want to deal with the the owning their own business. And I have lots of women dentist friends that work for these clinics and love it because they're a single mom and they got a kid they got to take care of, a 10-year-old kid, and they just want to come in, do their work, and leave. And then the other thing is these high technology things like Sirona Dentsply's CERAC, CBCT, 3D X-ray machines, lasers, all this stuff. And it's funny. It's kind of a perfect storm, and I believe it's going to end up like Sweden. I think about with the lawyers, half the lawyers work for a big group, and then half for individual private. In your country, half work for the government, the state, and half for private practice. And I think in our country, half are going to work, 10, 15, 20 years from now, half will probably end up being working for corporate, and then half will be individual boutique. And it just depends on, if you're highly motivated and you love continuing education and you have a niche market and you're all gung-ho, you'll be the half that has your own place. And if you just want to go in and kind of without any business or worries and drill, fill, and bill, you'll work in corporate.
Yeah. What we see here now is change coming up, like 10, 15 clinics in an area, or it might not be an area, it could be spread out too, but it's becoming more and more chains, dental chains, owned by investors. It might not be owned by a private owner. It could be a fund or investment fund, It could be so that is coming more and more. So half in Sweden is owned by the state. About one fourth is a cooperative. It's dentists who have gone together and share all the things that they don't want to do, like economy, like education. They get together with that and having a central organization for that. Even for buying things, they can get together and get a better deal.
I think the most interesting thing is, everything in history that goes around comes around, it just always comes back. And, America a lot of people that came to America were indentured servants. They only got a free ride because when they got here, they had to work on somebody's farm for 7 years. And now I feel like with all these dental schools dumping these kids out at $300,000 to $400,000 a year, they're financially, they can't move, they can't do anything, and they're indentured servants. And basically, what they did is they now they have to go work for me or a chain or an old dentist like me or some corporate dentistry, and then they got to work for 7-8 years to pay that back. I mean, basically, you know, it's indentured servants. So I want to ask you. Go ahead. I want to change subjects.
What most people do here, I think most of them, when they leave school, they go to the public dentistry.
Right.
They start and then they continue after 5-10 years. They start their own private practice.
Right. You talk about your toothpaste. You guys believe, or you believe that in 1959, Professor, I'm not even going to try to, Ingvid Eriksson from Sweden with Natroimmunofluorostat toothpaste, Na2PO3F in toothpaste, and that you feel that's a better toothpaste than the international Colgate?
What he did was he got a patent. He wasn't the only one who got the patent, but he got one patent on mixing charcoal with fluoride. So that was the first toothpaste in 59, but even Colgate Palmolive and I believe even Procter & Gamble might have had patent on that. But that was the first generation toothpaste including fluoride.
Huh. Now, the first toothpaste really in America that you ever heard of was a Pepsodent by Ipana, which most people believe drove the 6-month cleaning, because in the 50s when it came out, they'd say, brush your teeth with Ipana and see your dentist twice a year. Yeah. And they said that on television back when that was the only really media. It was just mostly television, and there's only 3 stations, and they just had so many commercials that everybody believed you should just see your dentist twice a year. And then when the dental insurance company started in about 59, the North Sherman's Dental Insurance in New Jersey, they said, oh, we'll pay for a checkup and a cleaning every 6 months. The patients all thought, well, we should see every 6 months. And it's amazing how that is still held all the way to 2015. And when you tell someone with gum disease, no, you need to be seen every 3 months, but their insurance is saying, we only take care of it every 6 months. And it's amazing the power of advertising. And it's amazing how a toothpaste coming. And then when the dental historians try to figure out where they got that, it came from a marketing department. Just some kid writing the ad just decided twice a year. I mean, there was no sign, nothing behind that. And that
you know there is an expression. He's that type of guy who believes his own press releases.
Well, I just want to say for the record
that's a marketing guy. I
just want to say for the record that I'm a legend in my own mind, and that's all that matters. And no, I love that joke. But yeah, so I only got you for 10 more minutes. What do you think listeners from 200 countries around the world, what could you tell them about that they might not know?
Well, what they have to fight for getting better financing of dentistry, and there is a movement going on even here where we have 1/3 paid by the government, but to include the mouth into say that the mouth is part of the body, and it shouldn't cost more to go to a dentist than it costs to go to a medical doctor. And that's going to happen. So we have to go in that direction. We have to make more health checks, not only, and we have to be more, work more on preservative, with good things instead of
Preventative.
Yeah, preventive. Thank you.
Yeah, preventive.
Yeah.
I just think it's amazing you can do this interview in English. I mean, I could, if you told me I have to interview you in Swedish, I don't even know one word. In fact, when I first saw your name, Per Ahlberg, P-E-R, I just assumed Per was doctor, D-R, because in America it's D-R. In Portugal or Brazil, it's D-R-U. So it was
Yeah.
only 3 letters. It ended in R. I just assumed
Yeah.
Per was
Well,
doctor. I just thought you were Dr. Ahlberg.
yeah.
And then I found out you're
Uh,
not even a dentist, so I shouldn't even be talking to you because you're not a dentist. How dare I speak to a non-dentist? I want you to know I'm really going out of my way to speak to a
Okay.
human who's not a doctor.
Yeah.
What does Per is that
I think you got a point here. I think dentists have to talk to more people that know other things that they know themselves.
you know what
They
I
should talk to technicians. They should talk to people who know marketing, know finance. They should talk to more people that know other things.
I've always thought that dentists could double their income if on the weekend they would become a bartender, and it would
Yeah.
force them to just talk to strangers. And maybe, since all the strangers are drinking, and I've never seen a bartender not nursing a drink behind the bar. Almost all my bartender patients are alcoholics. And I thought, maybe Fridays and Saturdays you just go drink behind the bar and talk to drunks to learn how to talk. Because like yesterday, I mean, I was swamped, and this guy came in for a second opinion, and you can just tell after talking to him that he just couldn't have a normal conversation with his dentist. I mean, he knew he had, it was just like, my God. And so when I was done, I got up and went to my office and called the dentist and said, buddy, what's going on? I mean, because he's a friend. I'm like, this is what he told me. And the dentist, well, I was kind of rushed for time. And I was like, God, just talk to him like a drunk at a bar. I mean, he didn't know the basics of what you were talking about. I mean, he didn't know the simple things.
But that's a little bit what I have done with Dental 24. I'm checking up what's written, what is being written in the newspapers about accidents, about thing in politics that will change, and what the patients will talk to them and know about because they hear it on the radio and the TV. So I bring that up on Dental 24 so you can be updated on, so you don't have to hear it from the patients. You can read it on Dental 24.
Well, the government, I find it very interesting how people are against, the inequality of income in the United States, where like all the billionaires have a lot of money, and they have more money than the bottom 90%. But and everybody has a problem with that, but they have no problem with these government agencies with all their money. And as a businessman, I try to look at, well, which CEO is managing their people, time, and money better? These 1,860 billionaires around the world are all these government agencies, like the United States Post Office. They had all the money. They didn't invent the next day package. That was FedEx. They didn't. And they didn't innovate delivering a package. That was UPS. I mean, I look at the government stewardship of assets to be very lame. And I look at these free enterprise people as being very effective. And when they die, the money's all going to be circled back into the monkey pit anyway. So just, I have no problem with this inequality of these guys managing a lot of people, time, and money in their very short 40-year work span. And just let them run, and they'll innovate faster than like the post office. But one thing about the insurance that I am worried about, if all health insurance and dental insurance is free, that will violate every economic fact principle that we know. I mean, there should be some consequence. Like when you get there has to be co-payments. There shouldn't be a free bypass, because then why would Grandpa want to quit smoking and start going on walks and lose some weight? But if they said, dude, you're going to need a bypass in 5 years, and it's $100,000. And your portion of that is 10%, and you're going to come up with 10 grand because you come up with 30 grand for your car, you come up with 100 grand for your house, and you're going to come up with $10,000 for a bypass. That is probably the most clarity in his walnut brain to say, you know what, I got to quit smoking, lose some weight, join a gym, and get this fat off. And free dental care, are you kidding me? Have you ever been in a dental office in America? They bring cans of Coca-Cola into the office. They come in the chair. I had a little 3-year-old, a mother holding a 3-year-old screaming from an abscess from baby L2, and she's pipetting Mountain Dew into the baby's mouth from a 64-ounce styrofoam cup. I mean, she's pipetting Mountain Dew into the mouth in my chair. And if all dentistry is free, it's like, I believe that if you want more of something, incentivize it. And if you want less of something, tax it or make it more expensive. Right. And I think healthcare around the world should be, unless you're a victim, like, a 6-year-old kid there's nothing they could do to prevent leukemia.
All right.
Things that are just, bad luck, you should, that should be covered. But anything that has, a behavior attached to it, if they don't have a copayment, they're not going to change their behavior. I really believe that. I do not believe, especially dentistry. I mean, what percent of dental disease is from diet and not brushing and flossing? What would you guess?
A lot.
Yeah, I mean, all the monkeys in the zoo don't have cavities. None of the gorillas, chimpanzees, orangutans, bonobos, they're all eating leaves while we're all drinking Coca-Cola.
Yeah, but I don't think the dentists can save the world, but they can help.
We save the world one tooth at a time.
Yeah. So someone else have to educate the people, and that's what we have seen with the toothpaste and brushing teeth.
Free enterprise, and that was free enterprise, not government.
Yeah.
And I believe that that waiting for the American Dental Association, they have $100 million of dues every year. They're not going to advertise on TV. They're not going to advertise during the World Cup, and the government, they're not going to. But I think the reason I'm so active on social media is because I'm hoping that all these dentists are sharing. I mean, I post on Facebook and Dental Town and Twitter and Google Plus and LinkedIn 10 times a day of the best memes I'm being sent or I see. People send me, I got it this morning and people have already sent me, 20 things to post. And I share this because I'm hoping that I think the world's 2 million dentists cutting and pasting and sharing the stuff from my Facebook.com/Howard Farran or at Howard Farran on Twitter to their people. I think we can educate the 7 billion people ourselves with social media faster than at any time in the world.
Yeah,
and I
cost less.
Yeah, and I tried to get
free. It's not really free because you have to spend your time there.
And that's where marketing has changed. It used to be when I got out of school 28 years ago, you could buy marketing. You could just pay for marketing and it all worked. And now everything you pay for pretty much doesn't work. So now the new currency is not money, it's time. Now if you spend an hour every week blogging or updating your website or social media or whatever, or have your dental assistant do it for you. Yeah. That's what I tell dentists to do. Go in your office. Which person works for you that checks their Facebook before they get out of bed and checks it into their bed before they go to bed? Have that person do all your social media. And now I think the world's 2 million dentists are bringing up the dental IQ of the planet faster than insurance companies or toothpaste companies or government agencies can do.
But I think that social media is good on distributing, sharing, but what's most important is you have to have your own web site and keep that updated, because that's where everything should be written and saved, and every office, every clinic and every supplier should have a really good homepage, and because that's the hub. And the social, now it looks like they think that Facebook is it's for free and it's your homepage. No, it's not. It's just for distribution, because you can only write a few things there, but you can spread the word.
Did you know the founder of Facebook, did you know his dad was a dentist?
No.
Yeah, his Mark Zuckerberg is one of 4 kids to a dentist named Ed Zuckerberg.
Okay.
Who's the nicest guy in the world. So I always say that Facebook is #1 because he was the son of a dentist. I tell my 4 boys that all the time. I say, see what a good, nice, solid, middle-class dental background upbringing. But yeah, great guy. Well, hey, I really would love to lecture in Sweden, and I hope if you ever see
you can do that through Skype,
Yeah, well that's why I'm doing this. In fact, I'm tempted not to. I'm tempted. I doubled my honorarium in the United States because I can lecture to more dentists around the world from my home than getting in an airplane and flying to some city for the 18th.
But sometimes you have to do a little bit of both.
But no, I love the international lecturing because that's a vacation. I
Yes.
don't want to do any more lecturing in the United States and Canada because there's so much work getting to and from the lecture. The lecture
Yeah.
is fun. I'd lecture for free. I get paid to travel, but
Yeah.
it's just, but when you like last month, I lectured 3 cities in Australia, and it's just a blast. I mean, I got to go to
Right.
Melbourne, Sydney, and Brisbane. So I love Sweden. What are the best months to see Scandinavia?
It's probably in the summertime,
But what months?
July.
July is the
Even
best month.
even though most Swedes take vacation in July, but I mean Stockholm is empty. Copenhagen is empty
I think
in
it's
July.
I think it's the wildest dilemma that I tried to figure out how to solve this, and the only thing I can see is immigrant workers because in Sweden, the 1 month where the weather's perfect, where every tourist would want to go, all the Swedish people say, "I'm not working in a restaurant, a hotel, and all that." And when I went there, and I took my 4 boys there, and it was in the summer, and everybody was laying out on lawns and parks and sun tanning
Yeah.
and bathing, and you could go to like 10 bars in a row or restaurants or whatever, and most
Yeah.
everything was closed.
Yeah, but otherwise the summertime from mid-May. May is beautiful. Everything is blooming. It's green until mid-August. Fine, very good.
And when
August
could
could
tourists
be.
go there and the Swedish people are still working all the hotels, restaurants, and bars?
We are back in August, and then the Germans comes because they take a little bit later vacation.
Okay.
But it could be quite empty in the towns in the mid-July, but the weather is probably the best.
Well,
Probably.
well, hey, Per,
Yes.
thank you so much for spending an hour with me. It's 10 o'clock in the morning here. What time is it in Gothenburg, Sweden?
It's 6
Gothenburg.
o'clock and it's dark outside.
6 p.m. Is it Gothenburg?
Yes.
And what's the capital of Sweden?
Stockholm?
Stockholm. Okay. Yeah, that's where me and the boys went, Stockholm. But
Yes.
hey, thank you so much for spending an hour with me.
Thank
you
you.
for all you've done for dentistry. I hope you check out dentaltown.com and compare it to Dental24SE. If someone goes to www.dental24.com, does it forward to Dental SE?
No, it doesn't.
So they
But
got to remember.
they can go to www.dental24.se and get that into Google Translate, and they can get the most out of it.
Right
They
on.
Just punch the World Wide Web.
Will you do me a favor, a big favor? If you know any great dentists for me to podcast interview on that side of the pond, that living over
Yes.
here on the other side of the world I might not be aware of, but someone who
do.
wants to talk for an hour about root canals, fillings, crown, any. If you find someone who's passionate about something on your side of the pond, it doesn't have to be
Yes.
Sweden. It could be Norway, Finland, Germany, whatever. But if you tell them, I would like to. Americans love in advertising. You run an ad and the person has an Australian accent. I mean, that's just the ad. I mean,
or
American.
French.
Yeah, French. Yeah, exactly. Especially if it's a French woman. But I'm telling you, Americans love. They tell me all the time. And I say, "What do you like the most about Dental Town?" Oh, I love it. There's that. I met dentists. I have 6 friends from around the world, and here they
Right.
are in Parsons, Kansas, talking to dentists around the world in Australia and London and Sweden. So if you know any big names out there that would like to do an hour about any subject in dentistry, tell them to email me, howard@dentaltown.com.
Yeah.
And if you're a guest listening to this, you could really help me a lot by going to iTunes and writing a review, because the reviews on iTunes really helps your search engine optimization. There's 2 million dentists around the world, and my mission is to collect all the best information I can and spread it around the world into every continent. So, Per, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Howard.
All right.
Let's keep in touch.
All right. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.